Hi everybody, it's still Vlogmas. I'm posting a video every day in December, but today is a video that is one that I do every year, and it is just an exciting one for me, and that is to set up my 2023 goals. This year is the second year I'm using the MakseLife. This was the first year I used the system in full, and I really liked it. I think that making the switch to this from the power sheets was the best choice I ever could have made. So I am using the MakseLife system again this year. I already did my 2022 reflections in the notebook that came with your purchase this year. And it was actually some really in-depth questions. And the reason I have this here is not because I need to use it anymore in terms of filling it out, that's done, but because there's going to be stuff in my planner that comes from this, so I'm not doing rework. The planner I'm going to be using this year for all year for my personal planning, so personal goals, personal life, everything that is not work related, is the MakseLife Flagship vertical planner, and this cover is the one that I did in collaboration with it, the Blackberry Fields cover. I love this, and I cannot wait to really get started using it. My pens that I could potentially be using in here, I'm not sure which one I'm going to use depending on how my tendonitis is feeling. I have a Pentel Energel RTX 05 needle tip in black, and then I have a Staedtler Pigment Liner 01 for my writing pens. And then for my highlighting purposes, I am using the Moxie markers. They are a little inky, so I'm going to be careful with them. I think storing them on their side rather than upright seems to be helping with the inkiness for me. The purple seemed, at least in this notebook, the purple was the one I was having the most problems with. I have some correction tape as well, but before I actually get into it with the markers, I do want to let you know that I did do some swatching to test out the different dot markers, and the ones that I picked, they all had a fairly good match except for the red, which is for work and learning. But what I decided to was err on the side of muted rather than the side of bright when it came to the dot markers. So if there were two colors that were both sort of there, but one was brighter and one was more muted, I would go with the more muted one. Partly because I feel like a lot of the Moxie markers colors are a little bit more desaturated. For personal markers, I am using the Butter Zig Clean Color Dot Single. A lot of the singles made their way into this particular video. This is going to be one of the weirder looking, but I swear actually, if you look at it, these two right here is actually one of the closest matches. Very, very odd to me. Well, not the closest. It's a good match. For the Fun and Recreation, which is the orange color, I am using the Zig Clean Color Dot Marker in Fawn. For Work and Learning, which is the red, I'm going with the Pale Rose Zig Clean Color Dot Single. Family and Relationships, the purple, I'm going with the English Lavender Single. For Health and Wellness, the blue, I am going with the Denim Clean Color Dot Marker. For Spiritual and Personal Growth, which is the kind of tealy blue, a little less teal this year, I'm going with the Pale Turquoise Single. And then for Financial, the green, I am going with the Kiwi Clean Color Dot Marker. And then finally, I am keeping the same gray. I almost switched it, but it was a very close match for both of them. I'm going with the Platinum Zig Clean Color Dot Marker. Like I said, I'll have these all listed. These are a different set of dot markers than what I used with the mild liners last year. If you are looking for those color choices that go with both the mild liners and the dot markers that I used the previous year, just look at any one of last year's MakseLife videos, and those should be listed in the description. I'm going to try and get this all done today. Hopefully, it's going to all be one video, but I'm trying to get it all done in one sitting. This may be a couple of sittings. I don't know. Anyway, let's open it up. The power in these pages belongs to me. Let's put my name in, and I think for the fun, let's do it with do I want to do it with a brush pen? I really don't want to do it with a brush pen. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to sign my name in here. Cindy. I'm not going to be too precious about it, right? And I'm going to write here. I don't care about phone and email. I don't take my planner anywhere. It stays at home. But I will put begun on 12. I'm filming this on 12/8. 2022, just as a reminder. So the steps are the compass assessment, setting intentions, annual goals and vision, monthly goals and weekly actions, monthly reflections, and quarterly reviews. In today's video, I want to get all the way through annual goals and vision. And then the next MakseLife video will be coming in the first week or so of January, and it'll be setting up for my January goals. The compass assessment, I already answered the questions. If you want to see me go through all of that process, that is in the 2022 reflections video. So what I'm pulling from this is going to be my actual filling in the compass with my scores. And then I am going to decide what I want my goals to be for this year in terms of increasing the scores. In my compass from the 2022, what it has is where I started in the year, where I ended the year, and where I wanted to end the year. So I'm going to be copying some of this information over and discussing how I want to continue. All of my goals are filled in, and I'm going to add where I would like my scores to be at the end of the year. Or not my goals, my life compass is filled in. So for personal, I am currently at an 8. This was one of my major focuses last year, and I feel like it was one of the ones that I did really well in. However, what I wanted at the beginning of the year was to get to a 9. And I didn't get there. So I think I'm just going to keep that and hope to get to a 9 by the end of the year. It's only 1 percentage point or 1 point up. I was at 8.75, so I was very close to 9. So, and that goes well. This last year, this was a big focus for me. I'd like to just put it more on maintenance this year, so that makes sense. Fun and recreation is another one. This one actually started the lowest last year, was a 3, and now it's up to a 7. So I overshot my goal for last year. I don't know how much I can put focus on this year with fun and recreation because I'm going to be starting dialysis. I'm in kidney failure. And so I don't want to put too much pressure on myself to overdo it. I want to just kind of take things at a slower pace. So I'm going to put my goal 1 point up at an 8. Work and learning was the only one this last year that actually decreased. Was it the only one that decreased? Yes, it was the only one that decreased. It went from it started the year out at an 8 and ended the year at a 7. Sorry, it started the year out at an 8 and ended the year at a 6. And I wanted to get to a 9. What I think I want to do is just see if I can at least get back to the 8 that I was at by putting a little focus on my, as you would say, professional development. For family and relationships, that stayed the same. My goal for the end of the year was an 8. It stayed at a 7. It kind of fluctuated throughout the year. So I think I'm going to just continue to make my goal for this year an 8. It seems like 8 is becoming the popular choice thus far. For health and wellness, mine is at a 5. It actually started at a 5 last year. I wanted it to get to an 8. And again, it fluctuated. But the second half of this last year really hit me right in the kidney nads. And so I am starting dialysis. I'm feeling the worst I've ever felt in my life. So it's obviously, I feel like I'm doing okay, and physically I'm doing awful, but I have a good outlook on it, which keeps it from going lower than a 5. But I don't know what is realistic this year in terms of my health and wellness. I don't know what. Let me look at the category here, because I scored a 5.75, so almost a 6. I am going to keep it relatively simple and just give it a 2-point bump in the hopes that I'm starting therapy again to help improve my mental health a little bit, and B, to see if dialysis makes me feel better. And even if it doesn't make me feel entirely better, if I have a good handle on it, that I think will also improve my mental outlook. So bring me to a 7, which is where I wanted to be last year. So I'm just continuing that goal. Spiritual and personal growth. Again, I started the year at a 6, ended the year at a 6, and I wanted to get it to a 7. I am actually going to put a little bit more priority on it than I did last year, because I feel that with starting dialysis, it's going to be really lonely without any sort of spiritual community. And that was the big piece of it. If you look at my scores from this, they were either high as fuck because I do have a good grasp of my spiritual feelings, but actually spending time and engaging in it is where I super drop down. And so that last year I wanted to do that, but I didn't make it a priority. This year I would like to make it a priority. For financial, I started the year at a 5, ended the year at a 6. However, Jess and I have both talked about how we really want to make our financial planning and paying off the small amount of debt we've accrued a big focus. So I'm going to put 2 on here to bring it up to an 8. Physical environment was the one that I fucking overshot. The other one that I overshot and it went real well. So I ended the year with a 9. I'm feeling really good about my house. What I want to do this year is dial it in and take care of some of the maintenance projects that we have on our list. So I'm going to put like a 10 here as my goal. But this is just sort of to give me something to strive towards. If I could just stay at a 9, I would feel totally satisfied. So if we look at this, you can see kind of the areas that I would like my goals to focus on, because the ones that I want to either be more maintenance or just do some basic tweaking have a 1-step increase on here, whereas the ones that I really want to put some more focus on, which also happen to be some of the ones that I put less focus on last year, so it's kind of like a seesaw effect, are the ones with a 2-step. So if we look at that 2-step like a fucking, square dance, the ones that I want to put more of the focus on this year are financial, spiritual and personal growth, health and wellness, and work and learning. And if I go to my reflections here, and it says what areas of life will be my focus in 2023, it's the exact same list that I made here, with health and wellness being the number 1 thing. And I would have given myself a higher goal to strive towards. I just don't know how realistic that is going into dialysis. Anyways, that is my life compass. My life compass is filled out. It gives me a good kind of kicking off point for this and clarifies sort of where I want to begin. Here is the intentions page. Maybe not pull from the reflections journal from 2022, but it does give me a really good basis. The other thing is, the piece that's tied in with this is, and I'm not making this decision today, but by figuring out what my word for 2023 is, that will also kind of inform whether or not I plan to do one little word next year. And I will be doing a video on that coming out. It should be coming out tomorrow. Like I said, I'm filming this on the 8th and this is coming out at the end of the month, but this should be coming out tomorrow, one way or the other. The biggest reason is, and I'll go more into this in tomorrow's video, that I want, if my word of the year feels really like urgent, something I really want to like absorb all year, as opposed to just sort of picking it and tra-la-laing my way along, which is what I've usually done. If I'm just going to troll along with it, if the word of the year doesn't feel particularly pertinent, it just feels sort of like a summation of what I'm doing, then I probably won't do one little word this next year. But if it does feel like last year's word, replenish, which I felt really urgent about, I really felt like I needed to incorporate it into it was sort of an underlying theme of all my goals. It was underpinning everything I wanted to do. So having a project where I checked in with it every month kept it in front of my face. If the word I figure out for this year when I'm doing this exercise feels like that kind of word, then I probably will be doing one little word next year. It's funny, like my choice for wanting to do with the workshop is less focused on the workshop itself and more focused on, will I use it or not? Anyway, I'm going to start working on this and we'll talk about it. What could I use more of in my life this year? Routine, stability, slow and steady progress. What could I use less of in my life? Franticness, surprises, the bad ones, and waves. What characteristics would I like to nurture this year? Patience, steadfastness, follow through, and peacefulness. 3 habits I want to develop this year: taking my blood pressure 2 times daily, riding my Peloton weekly, and going to church 2 times a month. This year I will be more steady. I will do less blaming myself. I will give myself grace for needing to take things slow. I will let go of expectations on my time. Now, of course, family and shit, like my kids will have expectations on my time, but maybe that's for me. Like being better at not holding so many expectations, especially in the first few months as I adapt to dialysis. And I will embrace taking things one day at a time. I already started making some lists of words that could potentially, that kind of feel like I already kind of have an idea of where I'm going with this. So what I'm doing now is just making lists of words that come up and kind of bouncing around the thesaurus until I get to my word. When I was trying to figure out what my word was going to be, I was looking at my intentions and they all were kind of leaning towards this idea of slow and steady pace, being patient, gentle with myself, persevere. So I was starting to look up words that had those kind of meanings, and I kept running into one of two situations. One was that it was about, like, if I was looking at steady, it was about staying the same. And if I was looking at like persevere, it was all about hardship. And I didn't want that kind of flavor. I wanted something that represented me moving through my year in a way that was slow and steady, that was going to have bumps, but that my whole goal was just to go through the year instead of in a frantic mode or in a stressful mode or whatever, but just to take life in a gentle way, regardless of how the outcomes are going. And what I landed on was continue. There is a website called Word Hippo that not only helps you find out like synonyms and antonyms, but it also like goes with like idioms and like the way words are used in context. And that really helped me. So for what my word means to me, I picked 3 of the many ways one might use the word continue. There's other ones too that fit, but these 3 kind of felt the most pertinent to why this word means something to me. For one, to remain in existence. I would like to continue existing. And with dialysis coming this year and with how awful I'm feeling right now, that is not a small thing for me to say. The second definition was to move somewhere in a slow and steady way, to continue through. What I'm thinking of is the quests in World of Warcraft, which I know I keep bringing up during Vlogmas, but whatever, it's fun right now, where you have to follow along with like a wagon train. And sometimes it can feel really obnoxious because you have to go so slowly while you're waiting for things to happen. But this year, rather than waiting for things to happen, I want to move slowly so I can both really experience my life as it happens, but also really like firm up the things that are happening. Like, I don't want to just blow through it, because with dialysis and my kidney fog in my brain going on right now, it's really easy for me to drop the ball. And so slowing the pace down, which is not something I'm good at, that is the thing that I really want to do. This next year, I can't really do a lot of traveling, and I am just going to have to really like live into my routines and my life as it is to try and build dialysis into my life. And the only way I can do that without dialysis taking over is if I do it in a very slow and methodical way. And so continuing my life in a slow and steady way feels very apt. And then finally, to develop gradually. Thoughts I have on this particular like compass right here in terms of the things that I want to be doing, all of the areas that I want to make more progress in: health and wellness, spiritual and personal growth, financial, and work and learning. None of the steps in any of those categories are going to be achieved overnight. They're not things I can just like solve in a month. They're going to be things that are going to take time. And we're going to talk about that as I get into my annual goals and I start working on them. The point being is to remind myself that this next year is not about leaps and bounds. Unless I get a transplant, then who knows? But I'm not working on that assumption right now. I'm working on the assumption of dialysis. And it is going to be really crucial for me in this next year to slow down and take things at a very steady and intentional pace. And I hate the word intentional, but that's what it needs to be. And so continue through my year. Every time I feel like I'm starting to like hate it, or every time I feel like it's starting to take over, just to remember that each day is a continuation of the next, and I can take another step forward and step away from the situation that's hard and start working towards a better way to do it. So that's the word I'm going with for this year. Now we are moving to the actual goal setting stage. There's a bunch of the information in here when it comes to like how to write goals, the different types of goals, stretch goals, progress goals, and maintenance goals. So what I'm going to do here is use this page to just sort of brainstorm. I just divided the page up with the colors just to kind of give me like sometimes I'll just brainstorm and then kind of go in and sort of collect them, but I think this is just an easier way for me to go about it. This is not a huge brainstorm because for a lot of these, I kind of already know what I want to do, but this kind of got some stuff out of my head, and I had some surprising ways of moving things around. For example, for personal, one of my maintenance goals, like most of my goals in personal are going to be maintenance focused because I have already kind of done so much work on it this year that I'm feeling really good about it. So what I want is to establish more routines around the things I'm trying to maintain. like rituals. I want to kind of ritualize my bedtime a little bit more, make it a little bit more like fancy feeling, because that is the time when I am like feeling the worst, at least right now. And so making it a happier time would be great, as well as getting into a new morning routine once I start dialysis. But I moved blood pressure to personal, because even though it is a health related concern, taking my blood pressure in the morning and in the evening before I take my meds, that's not one of my health related kind of times of the day. That's when I'm like, washing my face and doing my hair or whatever. And so it actually makes more sense to start thinking about the blood pressure in that. And I'm wondering if that will help me. For fun and recreation, again, there's some maintenance things. There's things I want to carry over from last year, not because I didn't accomplish them, but because I did accomplish them. Taking time off, continue visiting museums, things like that. I would like to maintain some of these things that I have incorporated this last year. But the big addition, and it's going to be one of the more defined goals for the year, is when Jesse and I came up with together. And that is that there is a big network of over 80 miles of trails that go all over the city of Denver. And it's called the Multi-Use Trail System. We've already walked on a few of them. What we would like to do is, over the course of the year, walk on all of them with Layla. So that's going to be definitely on the fun and recreation. Anytime Jesse wants to participate in a goal, I'm down for it. So these are my brainstormings. So now what I'm going to do is go into each of these and begin with each goal, and we will talk about them as they happen. For my personal goals, my focus is to maintain and develop routines. And the reason that I'm saying maintain and develop rather than the other way around is because a lot of this I've already been doing thanks to this year. What I want to do is continue what I've been doing, maintain them, while also adding the development of the newer parts, especially considering that dialysis is going to be part of my life. So because there's no real huge goals in this category, it's all mostly maintenance. I didn't do any extra highlighting, but some of the things I have here to work on are a morning routine dialysis version and an evening ritual, and including blood pressure in both of those. Working on weekly routines like maintaining my plants and going to the grocery store, which will also bleed into going to church, because figuring out a good weekly routine will open up space for going to church on Sundays. And then monthly routines, which would include something like one little word if I decide to do that next year, which I think I'm leaning towards because of this word, but we'll talk about that more in tomorrow's video. How will my life improve by reaching these personal goals? I will maintain the progress I made last year and integrate dialysis into my life. What I didn't write is that opposite of that is letting dialysis take over my life. And I'm trying to use routine to keep it in its place, something that's keeping me alive, but is not the focus of my life. For fun and recreation, the focus is to maintain, again, there's that word, taking time for rest and fun. And there is a big stretch goal on this one that I highlighted: walk the entire Denver multi-use trail system with Jess and Layla. RJ or Sunny wants to join us. They're more than welcome to. We were hoping RJ would take his bike out there, but ultimately it's going to be Jess, Layla, and I that are focusing on this. And I want to continue visiting museums, taking Friday and Saturdays off, monthly 3-day weekends, and scheduled weeks off. I have nothing really in here about travel because I don't know what that's going to look like on dialysis. It's going to take some organization. Even once I feel like I've gotten dialysis under control enough to travel, I still will have to schedule hemodialysis anywhere I go. For my work and learning, another one of my goals that is not a maintenance kind of category, it is a, pushing forward category. I have developed my skills in both art and business, and I actually have 2 stretch goals for the year. One of which is a stretch goal because of kind of the scope of it, and the other one is more of a, maybe it's not a stretch goal, it's a, what is it? Where's the info? Where's the goal info? Stretch goals are exciting to create, feel thrilling. These are the goals that could address the things that need improvement, right? So the stretch goal, it says no more than 1 to 3 stretch goals. I think the trailhead is a stretch goal. The complete all 3 courses is a stretch goal. This use and follow through on HB90 all year is a progress goal. It is something I know works. And by doing it all year consistently, following through on it, that will help me not feel stagnated. I have the 3 courses listed here. It's the Immersion course by Bonnie Christine, Making Artwork by Emily Jeffords, and The Art Within by Jenna Rainey. Of these courses, Immersion I have taken before, but I want to go back and do it again, especially because I have the updated version from last year. And I want to go through it and work on my Illustrator skills and my surface pattern design skills. But there's also a bunch of business stuff in there. So that's the one that's kind of art skills and business skills. Making Artwork is Emily Jefford's course, and I have done a bunch of it, but I need to go through and really dig deep in it. That one is almost entirely focused on art as a business. And then the Art Within is Jenna Rainey's course, which is more about your creative practice. I'm not sure which order I'm going to do them in yet. Part of me wants to do the Art Within first to reinvigorate my creative practice, but the other part of me wants to start with Making Artwork so I can map out the year. I'm not sure yet. That's something I need to think about, but I want to get all 3 of these done before the end of the year. And if I get these done, all the courses and the HB90 all year, I will feel refreshed and reoriented in my work. So yay. So for family and relationships, my focus is to maintain and improve my quality time with my guys. My guys meaning all the people that are important to me in my personal life. So I've got the one that I highlighted is not because it's any sort of stretch goal or anything. I'm highlighting it because it's pretty fucking awesome. Jess and I will be married for 10 years this summer, and we'd like to do something, probably go away for a weekend. If I do dialysis in the morning, we could probably go away for a weekend and be fine. So that is probably the one kind of, quote, trip we might work on this next year. But other than that, the maintenance is date nights with Jessie twice a month, get-togethers with my friends one time quarterly, like a dinner or something, right? But coffee dates with friends, like a friend one-on-one, once monthly, date with my kids individually 1 time monthly. Usually it's lunch. And then call my sisters 1 time weekly, which is not something I'm doing currently. That is definitely something I want to build in. We usually just talk in the family chat because I hate the phone, but I love fucking talking to my sisters. And I don't know, especially my sister Amy, because I love talking to both of them. And I do talk to Amy more often because she's also a PKD person. And so often I'll just call her to bitch about something or to ask about something. Becca has kids and sometimes it's easier to text, but I do want to just hear their voice every week. Even if we do a group phone call, that in and of itself could be fucking rad. I love talking to both my sisters at the same time. This spread was 3 maintenance goals and 1 oomph goal. The other page, it's going to be the opposite. For health and wellness, the focus should be no surprise if you know anything about my health, is to incorporate dialysis into our lives smoothly. And I have basically a list here of steps to take, of milestones to hit, that kind of thing, in order to ensure that dialysis is part of our life, but not its purpose. That's how it'll improve if we do this the way that I'm hoping to. So first foremost is to attend and graduate from training. Then develop a regular dialyzing routine so we kind of can predict it. We know what's happening. We kind of know how it's going to go. Attend therapy each, and I left it blank because I'm going to have my consultation with a therapist next week to figure out what the timing would be ideal for it is. I don't know if it's going to be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, what. So I left that blank until I talk to the actual therapist, but regular therapy basically is the goal. Resume regular Peloton riding when I feel well enough, follow my dialysis diet, and schedule one-on-one time with Jessie away from dialysis, which also goes to the family and relationship side of things. But I wanted to reiterate it here because a big piece of this is going to be not having Jessie feel just like my caregiver, but to remind myself and him that he and I are partners. For spiritual and personal growth, no surprise, my stretch goal for the year. So this will be my third stretch goal for the year. And I actually don't think, maybe I'm going to have 4 stretch goals for the year, whatever. And this is a stretch goal because it's been taking me 85 years to do it. Technically, I think it's more of a progress goal because it will improve my life. It's not hard. It's just complicated. To join the UU church I want to join and attend 2 times monthly, with my focus being to become a part of my local UU community. Now, what I did was I broke down the first 2 big steps of it. The first one is to develop a weekly routine that can open up Sunday mornings. This will likely not happen until after we are home and doing dialysis, because I can imagine that in the training period, we're going to be basically commuting to the dialysis center 5 times a week to not only do dialysis, but to learn how to do dialysis. It's going to be a lot. So I want to wait until we have settled into our routines before I try to add something else to it. But when I do start developing that routine with Jessie, I want to make sure that it is in such a way where I have Sunday mornings free to go to church if I want to. And then once that starts to happen, I want to attend one service where the new settled minister is preaching because I want to hear if he sucks or not. I don't think he does, but I'd like to hear him, because if it doesn't work, then I might change plans and go to a different one. But I want to make sure that I'm a good fit. One of the reasons it worked so well at our Napa congregation when we first joined was that we adored our minister. So if I can get through this, this will be something that will help me feel grounded and connected. So for my financial goal, the focus is to dial in our finances for security, for financial security. The big stretch goal for the year to pay off our debt. It's not a lot of debt, but it's enough that it's bothersome to us. And then my know by year, and I've got 12 dots here for the 12 monthly check-ins that I'm going to be doing. If you want more context on that, you can check it out in the video that I put up earlier this month. But my categories, which I spelled wrong, are listed here, not with the rules or anything like that, just as a reminder for the categories: stationery, beauty, and food delivery. And then budget meetings with Jesse, something I wanted to do this year, but just did not happen anywhere near as much as I would like. I know it would make him feel better too. I've also got another 12 dots here, one per month. Getting back to investing and saving and all of that, that's also important to me, but these are the ones I want to focus on so that we will have less stress and better spending habits. Stress mostly on Jesse's end, better spending habits mostly on my end. So yeah, there we go. So these three were the bigger focus goals. This one is going to be the physical environment is definitely a maintenance goal. I want to maintain and continue to improve on our home. So I've got just a list here of different home projects to work on. Some of them are more pertinent than others, and there's going to be others too. This is just kind of a starting point, with the first priorities being the dialysis room and storage for the dialysis supplies. Then there's the outdoor stuff I was talking about. The basement, the backyard landscape needs quite a bit of love. The front yard landscape needs less love, but it still needs some work. Planting the green stalk, doing the exterior work on the physical house. And then a big chunk is getting art up on the walls. I have a lot of this art. I have the gallery wall for the stairway. I've already got all the pictures. Most of them are framed, and I have all the frames. I just have to get them up. Dining room, I don't have art for yet, and I really want to find some good art for it. The front room, I do have the art and I do have the frames. I just need to get that all together. We could technically do it now, but the furniture is not arranged the way it will normally be arranged because of the tree. So that will definitely be something that happens probably in January, hopefully. I have a gallery wall in the basement I've been working on of other people's art that I really want to use as like inspiration. I want to get some pictures on the walls in the upstairs hallway and the downstairs hallway. And I want to get a big, beautiful piece of artwork for our living room, which I have not found yet. I am looking, but I haven't found one that calls to me yet. So I do want something for there. Again, this is not the sum of it. This is just kind of a kicking off point, but the idea is to continue the home maintenance and to continue to work on a house project every month. And if we get this all done, if our life will improve by, feeling safe, secure, and comfy in our home. These are my annual goals. If I do a vision board this year, I still don't know if I'm going to or not. Vision boards, much like letters to your future self, are just not something that have ever really felt useful to me. What I want to use this spread for is to incorporate my 23 in 2023, because my bullet journal this year, if you haven't watched my planner stack video, is going to be work related. So I need somewhere to put it, and that's where this is going to go, and it's going to be pulled in large part from these goals. But there is one more thing I want to add to maintaining and developing routines. My MakseLife routine. MakseLife. This is going to sound like inside baseball. This is one thing I did pull out of if you watch my video on using index cards to observe how you're using your planners, the biggest thing that I was struggling with in the second half of the year was taking the stuff that I work on from my goals and put on my weekly actions into my weekly plans and then checking in on it daily, and also doing the weekly reflections and the monthly reflections part of my routine, because that was, especially now that I just reflected back on the year, it would have been really nice to have all that filled out to go back and reference. So developing my routine around my goal setting just to remember to do it. Right? To stay on top of it, because none of this matters if I don't actually follow through with it. So I wanted to put that on there as part of the routines that I'm working on. Anyway, now that I have gotten all of this 85 years long video, I would love to hear from you in the comments below one of the goals that you're working on for this next year, whether it's a big huge stretch goal or if it's a small, tiny little habit that you just want to incorporate, let me know in the comments below. I will be doing a video setting up my January. I don't think I'm going to be setting up my monthly calendar very much like on camera because I want to try and do that a little bit differently. So I think I'm just going to be doing goal setting, but we can talk about that in that video when I figure out what the hell I'm doing, which I still don't know yet. So in the meantime, like I said, just let me know and I will talk to you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, peace.